I think a game is important for talking about politics because it gives it a little more lighthearted flavor. And, there's that Shakespeare quote, "The truth is often told in jest." It's just a little easier to stomach. I like that Billy Wilder quote, "If you're going to say the truth, be funny or they'll kill you." So this is the basic version, which is hopefully simple enough that kids can play. I'm just going to show you the playing pieces. I'm going to roll this, see what I am. Okay, I'm gray. That means I'm centrist. Not really, I'm down here on this side of the spectrum that is more about order and, institution focused, which is kind of opposite from the, we want more freedom. Okay, whose turn was it?
I think mine. Okay.
Yeah, so. Oh, you just rolled?
Yes. I have to pay you. So I'm not exactly opposite. I'm sort of just like. Well, okay. Some sports are good, but I mean, don't think. Some kinds of. Okay.
Are you gonna try to argue or no?
Yes, it's gonna be a bad argument though, and I'm gonna try to make it a very short and bad argument. So I think I should not pay because I'm like opposite, but not. Okay. I don't think I should pay because I'm about saving the earth, and at almost every single football game, and they pollute the earth and your body. So I don't think I should pay. I don't want to fund root beer and Gatorade.
I'm not really so sure that
it pollutes your body.
Sports games are like super.
And I don't believe
opposite green ideals.
I think you should have said fields use a lot to water.
Oh yeah,
no, they're fake.
Oh yeah, they're fake.
I guess
But then
most of them are fake.
They are fake.
What about the plastic?
Right, they have to be replaced.
Yeah.
And so that's a lot of plastic into the landfill.
Yeah, turf. You can get cancer if you eat it.
Wait, the stuff that
it's plastic. So yeah.
Oh yeah, and then you mean the leachate comes out into from the landfill and gets into the groundwater. Well, okay, then we'll let you have a pass. You don't have to pay.
Thank you.
All right. I rolled a 6. Oh, yay! Okay. So when you land on a square that's your own color, you can get an upvote token by convincing the group how your party's contribution related to that topic helps each of the others separately or as a society. Okay, so in my people, my tribe, we make like stronghold dugouts, backwoods cabins, disaster preparedness. Okay, disasters happen, and you all might think we're nuts, just going crazy on this stuff, waiting for Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome to happen. But we're actually, if there's a enormous disaster, whether it's war or more likely natural disasters, then hey, we're the ones who are going to be helping out all the community members because we've talked through these scenarios. We have stashes and we know how to purify water. We're going to be a valuable resource for training others and organizing the community. Do I get my upvote?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Help Gray pay for all the government programs and salaries, making sure everyone follows the rules, and making new laws.
You don't have to argue that if you don't feel like it. It's just that you have to pay their dollar.
Okay.
You can even argue that they're demanding too much.
Okay.
You say, I'm willing to pay some, but, a percentage or whatever, but yeah, that's hard, right? Because we need some laws.
Yeah. Okay, I'll pay it.
Okay.
So then,
Like, better brush up on yeah. You could maybe have argued that they're you'll pay some, but you just think that they're too many. Too many. That you're paying too much income tax or whatever. Which is hard when you're not old enough to really be paying that. Oh, is it your turn? Okay. I did. Red made the products and runs the stores. You have to pay for what you buy, for the storage space, and credit card interest.
Okay. Okay, I should not pay this because if you don't know, greenists, I would make much, much, much less trash. And I wouldn't want to buy many, many, many books, maybe, because I don't want to kill those trees. And disposable products are out the window for me. Or I need an apple cutter and my neighbor has one. So I don't go buy one. I go over there and say, hey, can I have that apple cutter? And they're like, here. Happy everyone.
Okay, I think you made a good point. I don't think you should have to pay.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, my turn. Oh. Yay! I get another chance for an upvote. This is talking about how my tribe is, complains about the jobs going to automation, and the immigrants like coming and taking the jobs that Americans are ready and willing to do. The immigrants come in, they'll do it for less, and so that makes all of our standard of living go down. And the international outsourcing too. It's like you can pay somebody in rupees what you'd have to pay minimum. That's like a tenth of what you'd be paying American citizens for minimum wage, and that means then we don't have the buying power. We might be like blue collar workers or whatever, but and then we end up being so impoverished. Even if you're not having these ideals here of, even if you don't agree with all of the Tea Party or the NRA, you've got to admit that just every country, it's just not fair for big corporations to they're getting the money that we pay for their products, but then they're getting cheaper labor. So in a way, they're not giving back to society like they should be. Does that make sense?
No.
Oh, that's fine for them to take my job.
No, I just think that immigrants need a place too, and
I think you should have to pay too.
So I don't have to pay because I would be paying myself. But what I was arguing for was I wanted to get I would have gotten one of the upvotes.
So that would mean, if we give you an upvote, that means we agree with you?
Yeah.
Okay, then no.
So I didn't get it. Wow, I did a bad job at arguing.
You did. Your first one was good though.
Okay, 6. Okay. Help Yellow pay for lobbyists for policy of staying out of other nations' business and to reduce government spending. My party works towards helping other countries, and I think that the government should play a part in helping people.
Oh, like humanitarian? So you don't believe in isolationist policy? So you're pacifist, and so you would be more likely to kind of believe closer to
they should
closer
help
to
other
the UN.
countries.
Yeah, and because that's all that being involved is opposite the isolationism, and it's also about economics. They want less government spending because it costs a lot to do this kind of work.
Should help.
Yeah, so I think government should help other governments, and we should be involved internationally, and that the government government spending is necessary to be able to do that.
But what if we aren't even meeting our own needs at home, though? In the U.S., like, we're not spending the money on poverty in the U.S. Like, what business do we have going over and funding hunger relief in other countries? Like, how does that really help? I mean, shouldn't we do that after we've taken care of people in the home front?
By helping other people, like other countries, we could have other countries help us, and we can get better at it.
Get better in what ways?
Like more efficient and be able to do it with less money.
What do you vote? What do you vote, Maya?
I don't know. What do you vote, Ardell?
I'm not really convinced. I think we really just need to, like, solve our own national problems before we go. What do you think, Maya? It's about a vote.
I think we really do need to help our own country, but I think it's a really good idea to help others as well.
So we're a tie. So to break the tie, we roll 4, 5, 6. It's a yes. If it's lower, it's a no. So you don't. So that's a no. You don't get it.
Okay.
That's weird.
This is the intermediate version. It has more strategy than the other two versions. There's more complexity in the gameplay for this version. So I'm just going to kind of describe the basic gameplay. You'll see that stuff is simple. I want it to be print and play so that it can be more widely distributed. And so I've kept those simple. Here are just some plain pieces that if somebody just decides to print it out online, then they can just get these little candies and a little gray button for plain pieces. Work just fine unless you are colorblind. And for that, I have, you notice the icons that were on the plain pieces before. And we go around the board clockwise, kind of a familiar pattern. At this point, ignoring all these instructions. This is only here because then the game board can double as a basic version of the game. But for now, we're not really using them, except for the topics that they describe can be used by the game players to come up with some ideas. And just kind of as a reminder of, okay, that's what this position is about. When I'm hopping around and I land on another color square, I can pick a challenge card from that. And there are going to be a lot of challenge cards. And they are going to say things like slogans. Which of the following bumper sticker slogans is the most representative of this other party's belief? So it's kind of challenging me to focus on understanding where I party or position's perspective. Another would be explain from your party's perspective why one or more of the basic positions or beliefs of this other party is one of the following: immoral, short-sighted, unrealistic, or not compatible with basic human nature. So it's trying to get some real discussion going. Landing on one of the four corners, there are different situations. One of them is going to be a joke card that you draw. And so you will draw from your own color of jokes, because they're ones that sometimes are self-congratulatory, but most often poking fun at that party, which you are playing as yourself, which may or may not match your own political beliefs, but you're sort of embodying for that game, that perspective, and it gives you a chance to sort of let sink in the total experience of being that position. I've really tried to make it to be an equal opportunity insulter. Another of the corners is going to be like for debate, where if you land there, then you'll look at where on the board everyone else is and pick, just maybe based on what topics you are interested in or know the most about, or maybe just based on the personality of the other players, you will pick someone else to be in the debate with you. And you debate about where the topic where that other player is on. And then the other players will vote which of you wins the debate. So you're actually giving the other player an opportunity. But you also have some strategy there, because you might pick who you think is a weaker debate opponent. Another corner card would be for a press conference. So landing on that, you would take the press conference card, and there are various topics and questions that you'd have to answer. And then the other players vote on whether you answered it well enough to have audience's support. And then you get your upvote for that. Another corner card would be a soapbox, which just gives you the opportunity for a 4-minute rant on a topic of your choice that has to be at least loosely related to policies or law. You might have noticed that this board setup is based on a Nolan chart. There are tons of them online. Each of the squares is opposite. It's sort of ideological opposite. And so it can help players to contrast ideas. So we've got the earth care is opposite rampant consumerism, the multicultural, let's all get along, versus, this is my team, sort of a tribal identity. Individual investment as a means of financial security versus there's social security and a safety net. Here's the United Nations versus sort of this isolationist policy. And the prepper survivalist has its counterpart, similar, but in a very different fashion. The eco homes, sort of the sustainable commune or just community agrihoods. Peace, kind of hippie movement, sort of. And at this other side, similar in the ideology of wanting smaller government and a less heavy hand of institutions, but they're going to be strong on the voting to legalize marijuana, but they are more socially, so they're social liberals, but they might also be economic conservatives, and they might also be sort of more socially conservative just in a religious sense. Some, not all. And so here we've got, people that celebrate the private militia versus the Pentagon, anarchy versus government, the court system and prisons versus mediation and community payback programs, the monetary system versus Burning Man, where it's sort of, based on barter and trading and services instead. So I have this cheat sheet that is based on the Nolan chart. So you've got like the grassroots versus the institutional, and it just kind of point by point is sort of a primer, because I know this stuff is kind of advanced knowledge. I mean, even though
Americans consume a lot of political commentary, I see that there's a real lack in really understanding the perspective of other sides. We just tend to look at them as, bad or misguided or stupid or even evil. And we don't really, those emotional gut reactions come often because we don't really understand the basic ideology and the values underlying those. And my perspective and my experience is that once you understand those underlying values, you can get to more of a place of agreement. One of my friends says, I won't talk to people about politics but I will talk about policies, because if you're looking at something that's practical, a practical solution, then you can come to some sort of compromise or even a win-win. But if you're just talking about your stances and your values, then you're just going to dig in your heels, because that's so much a part of your identity. So here I'm this blue player, and say I land on the unionized strikers cause business to go overseas, lose a dollar token. Yeah, they deserve a living wage, but now, because of blue, some of them got no wage. I think that pretty much says it, but I'll just read a few more just for fun. It's like, okay, so here's for the Republican question. This is a joke card. Question, why does a Time magazine survey state only 85% of Americans think global warming is happening? Answer, the other 15% work for the oil industry. This is the advanced game. It can still have strategy, but it's going to be more interpersonal, unsaid alliances, like, okay, I'm going to vote for you, and you're going to, be easy on me, stuff like that. And you start out with drawing a card. And the players will already have decided, choose what you're going to be, or you can roll a die and see what you have to be to play. Okay, I'm going to be a apolitical pacifist, according to this die roll. Or I could have sort of decided to be independent or whatever, just depending on what the group wants to do. So I drew my card. It's an interview card. This is the action card, the situation. So I'm supposed to explain why I do or do not agree with one of the following statements. The ends justify the means. Okay, so I'm supposed to explain why. I don't believe that the ends justify the means, because that philosophy can often lead to violence as a means. And as a pacifist, I don't agree with that. I think we've seen examples in history of that. Well, okay, so I'm going to pick card. And it's expert testimony. You are considered somewhat an expert on your selected topic due to committees you served on, so you are summoned to give expert testimony before Congress as they consider a related bill. Okay, so then I can choose one of these. I think I would want to do it on, like, personally, okay, education is more my area of expertise. So, and I have 4 minutes to do it. So I'm going to say, I know my audience, and make my comments fit what they'll accept. All right. So about education, what needs to change really is that in higher education, there's so much right now of sort of abuse of the student loan system. Like, there are private, especially private online colleges are one of the worst, because they accept the funding from the government sources, yet they often they don't have enough oversight by the Government Accountability Office, which has really tried, but they don't have a lot of power to enforce their mandates. And so what ends up happening is that often these students will, and sometimes they're ones that are not able to get into traditional universities. They might not have the best grades. They might just be at a point where, at a location where they want to stay in a job that's working for them, but they've for some reason got limited options, and they're choosing this school that they know it doesn't have the best reputation, but it's like it's a way forward, right? This promise of reaching the American dream through higher education. And so they go for it, but they are not given actually the support services that they're promised. Some of these, like University of Phoenix has been the worst that we've seen a lot in the news in years past, because their sales team was the biggest, the recruiters, right, were the highest paid, and they spend a lot of money there, but they did not spend money on helping the students with their writing and all of the kind of mentoring, and they just basically threw them to sink or swim. And the students, there's these sunk costs. They're trying to do their best to stay and muddle through, but the taxpayer in the end foots the bill for these loans that aren't repaid because they never actually got the benefit of finishing the degree, or if they did, there are some employers, they learned because they have U of P employees come on board and they knew nothing. They just didn't know enough. They couldn't perform. And so they actually instituted policies not to accept applicants that had a degree from there. Oh, my time's up. All right, that's it. So now the group would vote whether, or the other person, if it's just one, they would say, all right, yeah, we think you were persuasive to the audience that you're speaking to, and you get your other vote for you were personally persuasive to me.